Good day, everyone. In this video, we are going to explore the realm of Constructivism art, its origins and principles, and its influence and legacy. We are also going to discuss Constructivism's artistic techniques and characteristics, as well as its contemporary relevance. But what is Constructivism art?
Constructivism art is an influential art movement that emerged in Russia in the early 20th century. In the year 1913, according to the art historian John Milner, Constructivism was born out of revolutionary spirit of the time, seeking to merge art with societal purpose and emphasizing the creation of art as a tool for societal change. This movement not only transformed visual art but also influenced architecture, design, and film, leaving a lasting legacy on the contemporary art practices.
Constructivism may have originated in Russia, but it soon spread out across the European and Asian continent. It's significant not only for its impact on art but also for its lasting influence on architecture, design, and social change. Nevertheless, constructivism is essential because it bridges the gap between art and life, prioritizing functionality, social engagement, and new materials, which has left a lasting legacy on modern art and design.
Here are the things that we are going to learn in this topic: its origin, principles, artworks, pioneering constructivists, influence and legacy, artistic techniques and characteristics, and contemporary relevance. So have you ever wondered how constructivism got started? It really took off in Russia after the 1917 revolution. The artists back then were inspired by the desire to create a new society. They wanted to move away from traditional art forms and focus on something that had a real social purpose. Instead of just expressing personal feelings, they used modern materials and geometric shapes to reflect the spirit of progress and change.
Following the Russian Revolution of 1917, constructivism emerged as the art of new Soviet at its height between 1912 and 1935. Russian constructivism was one of the most influential art movements of the 20th century. Even though it was something of an attack on art itself, aesthetically rooted from suprematism, the constructivism art movement reflected the socio-political agency of the Russian avant-garde.
With regards to this statement, constructivism as an artistic philosophy was started in Russia in 1913 by Vladimir Taklin, who rejected the idea of autonomous art. He wanted to construct art by advocating the philosophy that it is a practice for social purposes. The movement was conceived out of a need for a new aesthetic language, one benefiting of a progressive new era in Soviet socialist history. Pretty fascinating, right? It is amazing how art can be tied such significant societal movements.
Let's discuss the core principles of constructivism. One of the most striking features is the emphasis on geometric forms and abstraction. Constructivist artists really focus on shapes like circles, triangles, and rectangles rather than trying to depict things realistically. They believe that the essence of art lies in the purity of form and function. This minimalist approach allowed them to strip away unnecessary details, aiming for a style that was accessible and functional in a rapidly changing society.
Another important principle is the experimentation with materials and textures. Constructivist artists were pioneers in using unconventional materials, things like glass, steel, plastic, and wood, that weren't typically associated with fine art. For artists like Tatlin and Rodchenko, this meant embracing industrial methods and emphasizing the relationship between art and technology. It marked a clear departure from traditional practices which often relied on oil on canvas and aligned more with the industrial forward-thinking spirit of the movement.
Then there's the rejection of traditional representations. Constructivists sought to move away from representational art, which they felt was too connected to the past and not relevant to the modern life. They dismissed narrative and emotional depictions, instead aiming to create functional objects that integrated art into daily life. This vision was enclosed in their motto, Art into Life, reflecting their desire to merge art with practical functions. By rejecting the past aesthetic conventions, they fundamentally rethought what art could and should be.
Now, let's take a look at some of the most famous works by the known artists in the Constructivist movement. First, we have Vladimir Tatlin's Monument to the Third International, created between 1919 and 1920. This impressive structure was designed to commemorate the socialist revolution in the Soviet history. Originally envisioned as a 15-foot tall wooden tower, it became a powerful symbol of the communist utopianism and the constructivist movement. Tatlin intended for the tower to be the tallest steel structure in the world, featuring 3 rotating glass units, a cylinder for the legislature, a cone for the government executive office, and another cylinder for the daily press office. An innovative aspect was the rotating hemisphere that would project Bolshevik slogans onto the clouds, representing both industrialism and the modern Dionysm.
Next, we have Kazimir Malevich's iconic Black Square, painted in 1915. This work was showcased at the 0.10 exhibition in Petrograd and embodies the theoretical principles of suprematism. The square itself, painted against a white background, represents nothingness, reflecting Malevich's belief that absolute truth can only be realized through pure feelings. Interestingly, this piece was hung in the corner of the room, a traditional space for Orthodox icons in Russian homes, making it a new kind of holy image for non-representational art. Then there's Lyubov Popova's untitled composition with figures from 1913. In this work, Popova blends elements of Cubism and Futurism, drawing inspiration from her travels. The composition features 2 figures constructed with sharp lines and curving circles, complemented by bright colors that make them pop. Familiar still-life objects are scattered throughout, reminiscent of the works of Picasso and Braque. Popova's reinterpretation captures the geometric essence of Cubism while embodying the dynamic energy of Futurism, showcasing a fractured scene from multiple angles, a hallmark of the styles of that period. Finally, we must mention Alexander Rodchenko's famous Book, Please poster from 1924. Rodchenko was a leading figure in graphic design with the Constructivist movement, aiming to integrate art into everyday life. His bold designs often featured bright colors, geometric shapes, and strong typography. This particular poster exemplifies his ability to blend the photography with striking geometric forms. In line with the movement's goals of Agitprop, Rodchenko's posters aim to mobilize the workforce, addressing both male and female workers. These works not only illustrate the innovative spirit of the constructivist movement, but also highlight how these artists sought to redefine the role of art in society. Isn't it fascinating to see how they combined aesthetics with political and social commentary?
Finally, we must mention Alexander Rodchenko's famous Book Please poster from 1924. Rodchenko was a leading figure in graphic design within the constructivist movement, aiming to integrate art into everyday life. His bold designs often featured bright colors, geometric shapes, and strong typography. This particular poster exemplifies his ability to blend photography with striking geometric forms. In the line with the movement's goals of Agitprop, Rodchenko's posters aim to mobilize the workforce, addressing both male and female workers.
Now, let's explore the different art techniques and characteristics of constructivism. First and foremost is the use of industrial materials. Constructivist artists were truly innovative in their choice of materials, often incorporating metal, glass, concrete, and wood. elements typically associated with industry in mass production rather than traditional art. This decision reflected their commitment to aligning art with modern life and technology. Artists like Vladimir Tatlin and Elizitsky aimed to create works that were not only accessible but also practical, often blurring the lines between art and function objects. This approach echoed the social and political ideals of the time, reinforcing the belief that art should serve a purpose.
Next, we see an emphasis on texture and spatial relationship. Constructivist artists were interested in the tactile qualities of their materials, exploring how textures interacted with light and space. This led them to experiment with layering, juxtaposing, constructing materials, inviting viewers to engage with the artwork as a physical object rather than merely visual impression. Additionally, the arrangement of forms in space allowed them to create dynamic spatial illusions, often integrating with their compositions with their surroundings, which blurred the boundaries between art, architectures, and sculpture.
Another hallmark of constructivism is the focus on geometric forms and abstraction. Works from this movement are characterized by the use of geometric shapes like circles, squares, and triangles as the building blocks of their compositions. By simplifying visual elements to their geometric essence, constructivists created works that were universally understandable, aiming for a rational and impersonal aesthetic. This geometric abstraction served as a precise visual language, aligning closely with the modern ideals of efficiency and functionality. Wow, what a journey we've had exploring constructivism today!
Absolutely! It's amazing to see how this movement not only changed the landscape of art, but also influenced by many areas of our lives today.
I know, right? From architecture to graphic design, the impact is everywhere. It is clear that constructivism was about more than just aesthetics. It aimed to integrate art into everyday life.